Vermont Department of Fish and Wildlife and its partners support removal of the Swanton Dam. The old dam blocks fish passage and navigation. Removal of the dam could play a key part in restoration of the Missisquoi River and northern Lake Champlain fisheries. The dam in the village of Swanton, Vermont, is built on an outcrop of bedrock. Before the dam was built, this outcrop caused a natural pooling of water upstream and a short rapids or falls where water ran over it. The Abenakis called it Taquahunga. The early English-speaking settlers called it Taquahunga Falls, and later, Swanton Falls. Taquahunga Falls posed the first obstacle to passage of fish running upstream from Lake Champlain to their spawning grounds below Highgate Falls. Native Americans, as well as early European settlers, found excellent fishing here because fish were concentrated by the swift waters. The first European settlers were French Canadians who occupied the site of Swanton Village in 1734. The first use of water power at the falls was in 1748 when Nicholas René Levasseur built a sawmill which supplied pine and oak to a shipyard at Saint-Jean on the Richelieu River. Water was supplied to the mill through a channel dug in the bedrock. Following the end of the French and Indian War, Canada was ceded to England. English settlers then rebuilt and operated a sawmill on the site of the old French mill. The first dam was built on the falls in 1790, shortly after the end of the Revolutionary War, by agents of Ira Allen. The Swanton Dam was critical to Swanton's business and economic growth from 1790 through the 1940s. 20th century developments in industrial technology led to closure of the water-powered mills in Swanton, as well as mills throughout Vermont. With the passing of the mills, the Swanton Dam no longer serves any useful purpose. Today, the dam blocks the restoration of fish runs on the Missisquoi River, as well as canoe and other boat passage. Restored walleye, sturgeon, and salmon runs would be a significant asset to the community and benefit local businesses. Today, the dam exists as a liability to the village of Swanton. Now, let's take a look at how other communities have dealt with removal of old dams.
Well, people were really vehement about not removing the dam, particularly the neighbors in the hill just up this way that overlooks the park.
People at first were very, very skeptical of what was going to happen. But of course now, people know very well what's happened, and the whole city is enjoying it.
Didn't want it to happen. I didn't think there'd be any water left. I thought I had a piece of property that was real nice that was going to end up being not so nice.
As in every community, people had concerns about the unknown. The positive changes are taking people by surprise, even turning ardent opponents into supporters.
Just the opposite. My water stayed the same. More fishing, more uses of the river. It definitely improved it, and I had to eat some crow. I didn't think it was going to, but it did. So, and I think if you give everything a chance, nature will straighten itself out, but you got to give it a chance.
Since the 1700s, people have built dams to provide power for our growing nation. We relied on these dams for everything from irrigating our fields, to powering our lumber and grain mills, to manufacturing our clothing. In fact, we have built on average more than one dam every day since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Today, most of the mills are gone, but the dams remain. And while many dams continue to serve important purposes, there are thousands of obsolete dams, or dams that simply cause more harm than good. These dams block our waterways across the United States, putting a financial burden on the owners and harming the health of our rivers. Many communities are learning that maintaining a questionable dam is not in their best interest, that removing a dam and gaining a healthy, free-flowing river is actually a key asset for their future.
Back in the late 50s, early 60s, I think it was commonplace when businesses didn't know what to do with the dam or wanted to give it up. They went to the local community and said, geez, we're going to give you this wonderful dam, and to make it legal, we'll charge you $1 for it, give us the dollar, now the dam is your responsibility. 1981, we received a notice from the Department of Natural Resources that we had several problems.
The average lifespan of a dam is about 50 years, and only regular maintenance and expensive repair can extend a dam's life. Many dams have gone neglected, and by the year 2020, the vast majority of our dams will be older than 50 years. This is a problem many communities can no longer afford to ignore. So what can we do when we're faced with an unsafe or obsolete dam, or one that simply causes more harm than good? Typically, there are three options: change how the dam is operated, repair it, or remove it.
What's that weigh? Probably about 10 pounds.
Known as door, jack salmon, grass pike, yellow pickerel, or just plain old marble eyes, walleye get their name from their prominent bulging eyes. The walleye is a member of the perch family, which was found in great numbers in Lake Champlain early in the 1900s. Walleye catches were recorded up to 20 pounds.
So one of the first steps in recovering any species is to recognize and understand the reasons for its decline, and then determine whether or not the problems are ongoing. And if so, what measures can be taken to correct them?
At least half of all walleye that now return to the Missisquoi River are stocked fish. Spawning habitat for walleye and lake sturgeon is currently limited to a small area of stone below the Swanton Dam. Vermont has spent millions of dollars over the past 140 years on hatchery systems and on the culturing and stocking of fish which reproduce naturally and in great abundance before dams were built. A few lake sturgeon still spawn in the Missisquoi River, but this fish is listed as endangered in Vermont.
In the late 1800s to the mid-1960s, sturgeon were commercially fished for on Lake Champlain.
Lake sturgeon are very long-lived species. They're very easy to overfish. They mature very late in life, so it's easy to overfish those populations, and many populations in North America collapsed by the early 1900s.
All sturgeon fishing on Lake Champlain was closed in 1967 because of overfishing and the loss of spawning habitat due to the construction of dams on lake tributaries.
We care about these fish because they're a unique part of Vermont's fisheries. They have such a very unique life history. You know, they can live to be 150 years old. It takes them 30 years before they even mature. And it's basically almost like a dinosaur. It's been here for hundreds of millions of years, and it's still around. It's been that adaptable and that rugged that it can adapt to all the things we've thrown at it, and it's still here.
An abundance of walleye and sturgeon spawning habitat still exists upstream of the Swanton Dam. Removal of the dam would restore fish runs to 7.5 miles of the Missisquoi River. Allowing fish to return to their historic spawning grounds could be a critical step towards restoration of fish populations in northern Lake Champlain. Vermont Department of Fish and Wildlife and its partners are committed to restoration of fish stocks and to the enhancement of fishing opportunity in Vermont. At least 125,000 people enjoy fishing in Vermont every year. They spend more than $65 million, which helps support local businesses. From prehistoric times, fishing has played an important role in Swanton's history. Restoration of fish runs would provide a lasting legacy for generations to come. To succeed, we need your support.